Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I want to share just some tips about getting your headshot done. What a good headshot looks like. Before I get into that, if you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, it really helps out the algorithm so I can keep making these videos. Thank you. So, headshots. They are extremely important for actors. I would say probably number 2 on the list, honestly. It probably would go training and then headshots if you're thinking about getting into acting in terms of importance. And then everything else. Yes, your resume is important. Yes, I mean, all these other aspects are also important. But your training, because if you want to be an actor, you have to be able to act. But headshots, it's literally because whether it's an agent, a casting director, producer, whoever, it is the first thing they see of you before they see anything else, before they look at your resume, before they look at your reels, or any footage that you might have. Anything else, it's your headshot, what they see first. So it's really important to get a good headshot. Now, where do you get started, right? How do you get a good looking headshot? First and foremost, don't have your friend do it, unless your friend is a professional headshot photographer. Which brings me to my second point. The guy who does senior pictures or artsy boudoir photographs. These are not headshots. Headshots, it's in the name. It should feature your head predominantly. So similarly, once you find a headshot photographer, somebody who knows how to do that, another thing you want to make sure you're not getting too wide of a shot. You see how tiny my head is? The reason for this is, multifaceted. Again, the purpose of a headshot is so that they can see you, see what you look like. But also because most casting now is done on these casting sites, their first impression of you is going to be on this thumbnail that they're scrolling through. This little tiny thumbnail. You want it to be as much of your head as possible. So make sure it's really featuring your head. You don't want to be a talking head, right? You can have a little bit of shoulders and stuff in there. But don't have it be too much of a body shot or chest or stomach up. That's a little too wide. Continuing on with that, your headshots should look like you. These aren't glamour shots. These aren't supposed to be, these aren't supposed to have we live in an age of Instagram filters. They shouldn't have a bunch of filters on it or be super airbrushed. I had heard a line once from a casting director about headshots that really stuck with me and put my head in the right space for it. And it was that we don't want to see you on your best day. Right? A lot of times we think a photograph, it should represent, it's a first impression. You want to put your best foot forward. We don't want to see you on your best day. We don't want to see you on your worst day either, but we want to see you on a good day. What do you look like on a good day? That's what you want to see in your headshots. Another big thing is, what type of headshots should you get? Right? Really, especially starting out, you only need 2. You need a commercial headshot and you want a theatrical headshot. Don't worry about getting into all of these character headshots. I've seen one where a guy was in a flannel shirt looking like this, and then the very next photo next to him, he's in the same flannel shirt except there's one extra button buttoned, and now he has glasses on, and he's like, that's the same headshot. You don't need all these different looks necessarily. In fact, I've had some casting directors tell me when they see more than, say, 5 or 6 photos on your acting profiles, it starts to tell them you don't know who you are or you don't know where you fit. And that can be a potential red flag for them. Now, I'm not saying that's across the board. Obviously, if you're a model or if you're also modeling, right, having a wider range portfolio of the types of shots that you've done, that makes sense. But in terms of headshots, really, especially if you're starting out, don't book a photographer for 5 looks or something like that. You really only need 2. Commercial shot and your theatrical shot. Now, in terms of what your theatrical shot should look like, that's really going to depend on the person, right? There's a lot of studios out there, whether it's Sam Christensen's workshop, Alex Collins has a great one as well, about figuring out your type or your essence. Basically, the idea is who are you? What unique point of view do you have and can you bring to characters and scenes? This could be a tough one to figure out. It took me a long time to get, what I would consider at least a handle on it. I don't even know if I have an exact idea. but just basically a little bit of your personality. That's what they want to see inside of the headshot. It's tricky. It's not an easy thing to do, but that's the goal, at least. As far as the difference between a theatrical and a commercial, really the purpose behind commercials is to help sell stuff. So you want to appear friendly and welcoming and warm and approachable, right? And so that's really what you're going to see in a headshot. You're going to be smiling a lot, so they definitely want to see your smile in your commercial headshot. It's not that you can't smile in a theatrical. It's just it's not as much of an emphasis or concern as it would be in commercial. You shouldn't have a commercial headshot where you're not smiling. Basically what that breaks down to. Just as important as the headshots themselves, how do you find a good headshot photographer? Well, first things first, go to your community, right? Depending on where you're located, if you're taking acting classes in that area, which again you should be, right? It's number one on the list. Ask your fellow students. Ask your teacher. Is there anybody that they recommend? Right? You can ask your agents. Now, your agents can recommend headshot photographers, but just as a heads up, if you're ever submitting to an agency and they say you have to get headshots with this photographer, that's a little scammy. You don't want to necessarily do that. But your agent's going to know some good headshot photographers potentially. Your teacher, your fellow students, just the people in your acting community are going to give you recommendations. Go to they usually should have websites. Go to their websites. Look over their work. If you like what you see and if it's a price that you can afford, I would recommend still talking or discussing with your agent that you want to get these headshots from this photographer before committing to that, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be pitching that headshot, so it makes sense, right? But once you have all of that and are decided, you can move forward. Now, price ranges for headshot photographers can vary wildly. It's going to be based on experience, availability, all of those kinds of things. If you are just starting out, a really expensive, really talented, worth the expense, but a really expensive, really talented New York or LA headshot photographer, that might not be something that you need to invest in just yet. But at the same time, like I said, I would not just find, your buddy who takes good Instagram photos, or the same guy who did your senior pictures in high school, right? Making sure that you find a credible, talented headshot photographer, it's going to be a little bit on the pricier side. Again, it'll just depend and vary, so my margin of error here could be wildly vast, but regardless of the expense, what I want to say is think about this as an investment. All right. Essentially, as an actor, you are a small business owner, and the business is yourself, right? And headshots are one of the most important pieces to your business, to advertising yourself, and so it is worth the cost, right? I don't want to encourage you, if you were just starting out, to be going and getting $1,000, $2,000 sessions with New York or LA photographers. Not that they're all that expensive, but some can be. I don't really think something like that is necessary, but at the same time, if somebody's charging you $50, $20 for headshots, they're probably not to the quality that you're going to need them. This, like I said, this is an investment that will pay dividends for you long term. So it's worth putting in a little bit. All right, I hope you found all of that information helpful and useful. If there was anything you've learned in your time, if any experienced actors who maybe are watching this channel, if you've learned anything about finding the right headshot photographer, any tips and tricks that you have, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Please, it would be really helpful if there was anything that I missed. Also, let me know what areas you're in, and if you have any questions about headshot photographers in your area. The two areas that I've been predominantly in have been Cleveland, Ohio, and Atlanta, and I have multiple suggestions that I'd love to help you out with if you're in the same area and curious. But if you are in LA, New York, wherever, I'd also love to hear if there's any headshot photographers that you'd recommend so that we can get a little pool or list together. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Like I said, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Take care.